In 1927, a farmer named Glenn from Idaho met Bessie on a passenger ship headed for Los Angeles, California. Although being married, Bessie was on the verge of ending her marriage with her husband. Glenn and Bessie quickly fell in love. On April 10, 1928, just one day after Bessie's divorce was finalized, Glenn and Bessie got married. Bessie was a romantic artist and a poet, while Glenn was an outdoor enthusiast. As newlyweds, they decided to go on an unconventional honeymoon trip. They planned to traverse the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon. At that time, the Grand Canyon was less commercialized, attracting mostly adventurers and outdoor enthusiasts to raft the Colorado River. Due to its unique geological and hydrological features, the junction of Colorado and Green River is notoriously known for its dramatic terrain and rapid waters. This trip posed a significant challenge for Bessie. On the other hand, Glenn, an experienced outdoorsman, was excited and full of anticipation for this journey. Glenn wanted to set a new speed record for traversing the Grand Canyon. At that time, only about 40 people had successfully navigated the Grand Canyon. If they succeeded, Bessie would also become the first woman to achieve this feat. Their adventure and honeymoon began on October 20th, 1928. In the first month, the couple successfully navigated many dangerous parts of the Green and Colorado River. By mid-November, they had exited the trail leading to the Grand Canyon and restocked their supplies there. The last time the couple was seen was on Sunday, November 18, 1928, at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. They encountered a photographer, Emily Cope, and were guests at his home on the canyon's edge. They took some photos before entering to the canyon. On December 6, 1928, the couple, who were expected to arrive in California by the end of November, had not returned. Concerned about their safety, Glenn's father, who was waiting in California, reported their disappearances to the authorities. A search was quickly launched, and on December 19th, a rescue plane found the couple's raft on a section of the Colorado River. Strangely, the raft appeared intact with supplies and equipment still securely tied down. There was no sign of disaster. The couple's camera was on board. The last photo was taken near mile 165 on the river around November 27th. Some historians have speculated that the couple might have encountered rapids, causing the raft to hit protruding rocks, leading them to fall into the river. Indeed, there are many underwater granite rocks near mile 165. However, this theory does not explain why the raft remained intact after a supposed collision. In 1971, 43 years after Glenn and Bessie's disappearance, an elderly woman named George Clark, participating in a commercial rafting trip in the Grand Canyon, told other tourists that she was Bessie. She said that during the expedition, she had wanted to give up, but Glenn forced her to continue and even abused her. In desperation, she stabbed her abusive husband to death and escaped the canyon. This statement caused a significant stir at the time. However, when later interviewed, Clark denied her previous statements. Indeed, it would not make sense for someone to publicly admit to committing murder. An investigator named Dimmock later stated that according to the people who knew Glenn, he was a gentle person and unlikely to abuse his wife. In May 1992, Clark passed away. Among her belongings, some strange items were found, including a handgun, a birth certificate with the name Bessie DeRoss, and Glenn and Bessie's marriage certificate. Could it be that Clark was indeed Bessie, and her claims were true? After comparing photos of Bessie and Clark in their youth, it seemed they were not the same person. But what could explain these documents that belonged to Bessie? In 1976, the photographer named Cope, who had met Glenn and Bessie in the Grand Canyon, passed away. When his family was going through his house near the canyon, they discovered a human skeleton hidden in his boathouse inside a canoe. The skeleton showed signs of being shot. Many speculated that this was the remains of Glenn, missing for 50 years, and that Cope had murdered the couple. However, forensic investigators at University of Arizona concluded that the skeleton belonged to a man no older than 22, who had died after 1972, ruling out the possibility that it was Glenn's remains. There are many other theories about the mystery of Bessie and Glenn's disappearance. One romantic theory suggested that one of them fell into the water accidentally, and the other jumped in to save them. However, due to the cold water and their lack of life jackets, they soon lost consciousness in the river. To this day, nearly 100 years have passed. The whereabouts of the newlywed couple Glenn and Bessie remained unknown. This is one of the most unusual stories I've ever heard. The details of the story have been changed to protect the victim and his family. In October 2010, John Smith, a 3-year-old boy, was camping with his family near a large creek in a dense forest close to Mount Shasta, California. The serene location, shadowed by the majestic mountain and known for its fishing and wildlife, has a history of strange occurrences. The family was enjoying their time when, around 6:30 p.m., John disappeared from the campsite. His parents immediately started searching the bordering forest and creek but couldn't find him. They called the local sheriff and the U.S. Forest Service for assistance. Search and rescue team quickly arrived on the scene. Volunteers and officials scoured the area, which was thick with towering trees and multiple trails. The search went on for hours. As night fell, the situation became more desperate. Then, at approximately 11:30 p.m., just 5 hours after he vanished, John was found laying in a thicket near one of the main trails the searchers had already covered multiple times. He was unharmed and reunited with his parents. It is worth mentioning at this point that even though John was only 3 years old, he acts much more mature than his age. When John got home, he was initially quiet about his disappearance, but after 3 weeks, he opened up when he saw his grandmother. He told her that he had seen another grandmother when he was missing. John explained that he didn't remember how he got lost. His first memory was waking up in a dark cave or dungeon, and he used both words to describe his surroundings. In this cave, he saw a woman who looked exactly like his grandmother, but he realized she wasn't his real grandmother when he noticed sparks coming from her head. John described the woman as having glowing eyes and called her a robot. John described the cave in vivid detail. He said it was dark, with a ladder leading up to a bright light. The walls were covered in a sticky, web-like substance, and there were purses and guns with dust on them hanging on the walls. The woman was very interested in his tummy and spoke to him kindly. He placed a piece of sticky paper on the ground and told him to poop on it, but he didn't need to go. John saw other robots in the cave, but they didn't move. The entire time, John believed he was with his own grandmother until sparks made him think otherwise. Eventually, the woman took John from the cave and placed her under the bush, instructing him to stay here. It was there that he was found by the searchers. Despite the bizarre nature of his story, John insisted that he was never afraid during the experience. His account remained consistent over time. John's grandmother provided additional context, saying that she had camped at the exact same spot where John disappeared several months earlier. She recalled waking up one morning with a stinging pain at the base of her neck, and her partner found a small red dot around the area. She wondered if this incident could be related to John's disappearance. Mount Shasta has a long-standing reputation for mysterious happenings, including legends of hidden civilizations and UFO sightings. John's account added another layer to the mountain's enigmatic history.